I said I think it could have been dispensed a bit more skillfully, like just throughout the narrative instead of this big block. I do like what's in there. I agree with what Stephen and Jonathan were saying. There's a lot of conflicted feelings introduced.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 34 of the Audiobook Club podcast. Today I am your host, Jason, and today we are reviewing the book Red Dragon, written by Thomas Harris and narrated by Alan Sklar. I've got with me today Michael, Stephen and Johnny. Do you want to say hello?
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Good men. So I suppose just why did I pick this book? I think it was just pretty much my wife, Mary Kate, was very much into the movie Manhunter, which I think we've watched at least twice now, if not 3 times. And that just sort of gave me that interest to sort of engage with the book series. Obviously I hadn't known about The Silence of the Lambs. I'd seen The Silence of the Lambs before, but I've never read the book. And I'd never read any Thomas Harris books or any Hannibal books at all. So I was quite interested just to sort of get into that. I suppose summary of the book is pretty much that there is a serial killer on the loose, and FBI profiler Will Graham, he gets lured out of retirement to help hunt the serial killer, this Tooth Fairy. So he gets sort of brought back out of retirement after initially being attacked by the killer Hannibal Lecter a few years prior, and that is sort of the beginning of the book, and that is the overall summary. Well, the beginning of the book anyways, overall summary is just the sort of hunt, the chase for this killer, the Tooth Fairy, the Red Dragon. We did do a wee guessing game beforehand. Can everyone remember their guesses? Anyone want to make any pleading...
Eggs,
yeah. Anyone want to make any arguments for why I should give them a point for the guessing game? I feel like, Michael, you're going to have a few points to say.
Yes. I would like to fight my corner for the secondary guess that we went on to after you told us our first guess was wrong.
can we remind me what I said?
Right, do you want me...
Your secondary guess was that there'd be an egg.
I'll read out...
primary guess?
I'll read out the guesses. So I've written them down here. So it's maybe not completely 100% accurate, but I've sort of summarised things. So I think before we all guessed that I told you it was related to The Silence of the Lambs. So then Michael guessed first, and he guessed that it would be an origin story of Hannibal Lecter. He thought it would go through his beginnings of cannibalism. I had to laugh. Michael must have given about 4 different ways of saying it would be about the beginnings of Hannibal Lecter. His guess. He was like, it would be the beginnings of Hannibal Lecter, and it'd be how he started to become a cannibal, and it'd be the first time he ate somebody. And then Michael also squeezed in that there would be an alcoholic police officer whose wife had left him. Stephen, you thought the cover looked like a broken dragon egg, and you said there were lots of bloods and shards, and you said it would be about the birth of a serial killer, and you said there was something hypnotic about the title. So you really honed in on the cover with that, in fairness.
Yeah. I should get it for shards, but not for eggshells.
Well, Johnny actually came in and said it was glass, not an egg, but then he went off on a tangent and said it was all about Bruce Lee's origin story.
That's right.
And then I can't even read my own handwriting. Something about a therapist I've written here. So we did guess something about a therapist. But I think then you sort of got into a bit of an argument, and pretty much you said, like, if there's any mention of eggs, if there's any mention of an alcoholic cop, or if there's any mention of kung fu, that person would get the points. And I think it was... I'd
say nobody wins.
Well...
There has to be a winner.
Has to be a winner.
Hello, Stephen. How many times have we been through this?
I don't know, man. I don't think anybody can win. I think Jason gets to keep the point.
I'll take the point. Good man, Stephen.
Jason has to.
Can I make my case?
Go, Michael.
You can make your case, Michael. You can make your case.
The case for the alcoholic cop whose wife left him. Chapter 5. Graham makes himself martinis in a plastic cup
Fuck's sake.
alone. Chapter 6. Crawford talks about how his narcotics is now his work since he quit the booze, and hints that Graham has the same issue. Chapter 24. Molly says you sound a little slurry. Have you been to see your little friend again? When Graham is again in his apartment drinking alone. The wife left him part. It might not have happened during the plot, but I think it's heavily implied at the ending.
Spoilers.
Is it?
May
I
I?
didn't get that at all.
May I?
It is implied.
plead
Stephen, it is.
Can I plead my case?
You can plead your case, Johnny. I think I'm already going to give it to Michael about how neurotic he is and the fact that he's written down chapters.
How long? How
defend
long?
No,
his
you
point.
shouldn't get points for effort. Come on.
I've lost
the guess
at this
is the
bullshit
point.
game.
How
Fucking, like
on?
3 episodes in a row.
Michael,
Jason gets to
Michael,
keep it.
you've had your say. It's my turn, right? All I'm saying is that I mentioned shards of glass, and basically that's one of the key plot points in this whole book, and that's all I need to say.
I wouldn't say it's a key plot
I
point.
think
It's just
your
one of his things that he does.
Kung Fu thing negates that. Like,
How long? Kung Fu is very close to, some kind of, this boy's an absolute weapon and an absolute unit when it comes to fighting and stuff, so I think I'm not too far away.
it's a stretch.
It is a stretch, but
It is an absolute weapon, in
that
fairness.
is a weapon.
Do you know, I'm looking at the first cover now and I see it completely what it's supposed to be. It's mad.
Stephen, do you want to
Quite good
defend
cover,
yourself
actually.
in any way? Or
Nah, I can't defend.
There wasn't some single egg in that whole
There's
story.
no, there's no,
There
there
wasn't- there was no
wasn't
eggs.
one egg. Like Michael did, we went through every chapter and looked to see about alcohol. I looked for eggs, couldn't find anything.
and Michael, did you purposely
Came up
set
dry.
out to write down every
He-
reference to alcohol
he
before you
didn't
started
even- he
listening to this
didn't
book?
Care about the book, he just went for that.
When I read it on the Kindle, I bookmarked it every time there was any mention of alcohol.
Right. I think purely because of how much effort he's put into getting this point, I think I'm going to have to give it to Johnny, because he's right. Kung Fu is pretty
Yes.
much. Nah, we're joking. Michael, congratulations.
I think you should keep it.
I'm going to give it to Michael.
Thank you,
give
Jason.
it to Michael.
I accept your rule.
Right, I incremented the scores there, so just maybe go through what the scores are from the whole time we started this. Obviously, we only do it whenever we have an appropriate book. But Michael and Stephen are both joint now on 5 points. I have 3 and Jason has 1, which obviously Jason wasn't here. I'm pretty sure I won the first 3 and now I haven't won one since.
I feel like I have not won any. Like that's.
I feel like
I can't believe I have 5.
we've barely guessed in the last year, in fairness. I mean,
Yeah,
of
you
the
probably-
books,
it was more
Well, how many was that? 9 scores there, you said?
14.
Maths is hard. 14, so barely, not even half of the episodes.
Yeah, but it is what it is.
no,
All right, let's move on.
We know a lot of the books. Alright, let's move on, Johnny. Good segue. So, yeah, I think I sort of gave a wee summary of the book before we did the guessing game, actually, because I sort of ballsed it up a wee bit. But I'll go into it. So, before we get into the main review, I would just like to throw out these here. Did anyone know much about this book at all? Anything anyone want to sort of get out there before we get into the main summary of the book at all?
Nah.
I've seen Silence of the Lambs, the movie. I thought it's very good, and I've heard Thomas Harris's name, but similar to yourself, Jason, I've never actually read anything of him until this book.
Had you ever read Silence of the Lambs or anything before, or just nothing, just seen the film?
No, I haven't read the book. I've just seen the movie.
I think we had all seen the movie, is that right?
Yeah.
I actually haven't.
You haven't, Stephen? Sorry, or you
I
have?
haven't, no.
No, you haven't.
Nope.
I thought you said you had.
I've seen
Sorry.
bad clips of it, but I haven't seen it now. I don't, maybe I did say it, but I haven't.
Well, I would recommend. Depending on how much you like this book, I suppose.
One of my other personalities might have saw it, I don't know.
There's not a...
It's a good movie.
You'd like it, Stephen, because there's not a single lamb in the whole thing, just like there is no eggs in this one.
Ah, was there eggs in that one?
There's lotion.
We'll have to read to find out.
I'll be on the lookout for it anyway.
There's some
Let you know.
fava beans.
There's baskets. What did we think of the book overall? Has anyone got anything to add? Anything they want to tell me before we get into the summary of the book?
I'll go first. I thought that I overall really enjoyed 95% of this book. And unfortunately, that was the very last 5% that I did not enjoy. But we'll get on to it.
that's interesting.
That's my summary of what I thought.
Yeah, I'd be about the same, except it wasn't the last 5 for me. It was like the middle. I was a bit like, whoa, not keen on it.
The last 50%.
No, not 50%, 5.
Alright.
Like there was a middle
Just
bit,
in the middle.
a wee chunk in the middle. I was like, I don't like that.
Oh, aye.
But otherwise, it was really good.
I think I can guess. I'm guessing.
Yeah, let's see if you're right when we get there.
Michael, what did you think?
Out of like the 3 crime thrillers that we've done, I think Slow Horses, First Day Murder Club, and this is probably my favourite out of the 3 of them. However, I did not love this or really like it. I probably just liked it. It had a lot of good ideas and a lot of good elements. I thought the idea of Will Graham as a character, this guy who's like haunted because he thinks like a serial killer, I thought that was a really fascinating idea. Just throughout the book, I felt like he did not grapple with that much. It felt kind of like Thomas Harris had these really good overall ideas for characters, and they kind of they felt fun to me, maybe even a bit underwritten. And the character, the red dragon, won't get into too much spoiler territory, but this book flips from being a mystery book about who is the serial killer and to a suspense book where we're given a POV portion about the serial killer and we know his motivations, which I did find quite fascinating, but I still thought that like that could have been more skillfully handled and like more gradually dispensed than kind of grinding everything to a halt and telling us about it. Some really good about the book. I thought the way Thomas Harris like rendered like the forensic aspects and talking about the bodies littered around and like retracing those murders, that was really creepy and really well done. There's a blind character in this, and I thought, obviously, I wouldn't be an expert on that, but they felt very genuine to me, and it felt like they added to the fear in the latter half of the book because of how well they were rendered. But it felt a bit underwritten to me at times. It felt like it was like kind of reading or listening to a great screenplay rather than a really in-depth book at times. But overall, I would say I just probably liked it, but I was expecting to like love this book, but I'd just say I'm at a like with it.
Fair enough. I can probably guess your score based on that. But it's interesting what you sort of said, like you feel like it's a bit underwritten, because I think probably what Stephen's maybe slightly alluding to, maybe it's just that section, but I think like maybe some of it is like actually overwritten, like we've gotten too much detail about certain things, but we can sort of get onto that as we come across it.
Maybe on aspects of detail there it might be, but like I think like in internal thoughts, exploring character motivations is where I think it was a bit lighter. I heard read some people calling it like very economically written, and I can kind of see that too. Like there's some violent scenes in this, and it'll say one line instead of going on the big description, and sometimes that's more powerful. But there's just other times like that really economical, sparse writing I thought wasn't, like there should have been a bit more character injected into certain scenes, I thought.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Although I think with the sort of runtime that it already is, I don't know if I would have wanted it to be much longer either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I think.
Which characters are you talking about, Michael, or do you want to save that? Just out of interest.
I think Will was a kind of underexplored, to be honest. We do get told his motivations, and we do get told that he has this kind of thing where he's haunted by the fact that he can think like a serial killer. I thought that was an amazing idea, and I just thought that wasn't like, I wanted to see him struggle with that more, and because I thought that was such a cool conflict, and it just didn't feel like it was part of the conflict throughout the book, or it wasn't part of like the mental warfare going on. Because obviously we have like Hannibal Lecter in this book as well, and he does play like mental warfare with the people and everything. I thought that should have been a bigger part of that. You know, am I evil for thinking this way? I don't know. Maybe you guys disagree, but I felt it was a bit under.
I do agree. I thought there was going to be a part where, you know, it came out about Will that he was like, if he had serial killer tendencies or something, or that he was hiding it. So I was a bit shocked when that didn't come out, or that it wasn't explored, like you said. Yeah
I think it's
outside of everybody just in the, is it the FBI or the CIA? Can't remember whichever one.
FBI, yeah. It's
FBI.
FBI.
Everybody just sort of knows that he's like fucking wunderkind for serial killers.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's just
But
like
yeah, I do agree.
heavily hinted at that he understands these serial killers, but yeah, I don't really think it goes into much more than that. I think there maybe is like the odd occasion where he sort of is slightly troubled by that sort of realization. I feel like there is a moment, but I don't think it's very much in depth at all.
Yeah. I think like if that had been more depth to, like the tragedy of the ending would have had a bit harder to, you know. But that
100%.
I'm not picking like because it is a book I liked. I'm just trying to explain why I didn't really like it.
Yeah, but I was going to say, apart from Will, I think all the other characters were fine. Like, fleshed out enough. Do you know? I don't know.
Francis, at times, I think is a bit. I don't know. I've mixed feelings about the whole alter ego thing, but we'll get on to that in more depth when we get to that.
Yeah, see, I think I liked that he wasn't like super duper explored. I liked that there's a bit of mystery in him
Yeah,
because it was so dark as it was.
Yeah.
And that bit that I wasn't super keen on, I'll save it.
yeah,
But otherwise, I think all the other characters had enough, personally.
yeah,
Just to touch on what you sort of said there, Stephen, because it's interesting. Like I said, my experience with this beforehand was like watching the film Manhunter, where you sort of mentioned there, you don't like his alter ego, which is not really touched upon at all in the movie Manhunter, but it's definitely a lot more prominent in the book and in the Red Dragon movie. His alter ego plays a lot bigger of a part. I would say in the actual movie that got me into this book, it's not really touched on at all. So I actually found that quite interesting, how much more depth that sort of section was given compared to what I sort of already knew about the character.
yeah.
Let's get into the overall plot summary. So this book starts off almost like a bit of a cold opening. We sort of arrive here with Jack Crawford visiting Will Graham at his beach house, during which Jack Crawford invites Will to come back to the FBI to sort of help catch this new serial killer called the Tooth Fairy. And there's a bit of mention about like why Will has sort of left the FBI. There's a bit of mention about his fears after this previous attack by Hannibal. So after that, Will agrees to come back to investigate the Tooth Fairy because he sort of believes that he's the one that can catch them. So then the next chapter we sort of get into, Will is at this house. This is what we'll call the Leeds house. This is the family that were murdered in Atlanta, and it's just Will wandering about this house on his own, like almost sort of breaking in, sneaking about, almost serial killer-esque. Like, it's not an official search or anything like that. And at this house, he is sort of just working his way through his through the evidence that he sort of comes across here, and he sort of feels like he can see some teeth marks. He can also sort of see that, I think it was like talcum powder on the ground, and he sort of was like, oh, the serial killer has touched the victim, touched the wife of the family. And then we get like a bit of a strange chapter next. We get this character called, I think he's called Hoyt Lewis, and it's just all this talk about him and his like electricity meter and the meter reading, which was a bit strange, definitely. And then the next chapter is, I think it's Will Graham is watching this home movie from the Leeds family, just sort of watching the family just doing like daily stuff, like nothing too exciting really. Then we get Graham actually gets speaking to this guy, Hoyt Lewis, and he gets chatting to him about this meter reading because they felt it was a bit weird because there was this strange man came out and sort of read this meter. Will Graham seems to think this must be the serial killer, this must be the Tooth Fairy. He was out sort of scoping the house beforehand, and then it's sort of decided between Will Graham and Jack Crawford that Graham will go and meet this Hannibal Lecter, who we know is the guy that attacked Will Graham, attempting to kill Will Graham, and this is the reason why Will is sort of out of the force and had these issues prior to rejoining. So he meets with Hannibal Lecter, he meets with this guy, Dr. Chilton, at this psychiatric hospital, and there's just a bit of chat about Hannibal sort of getting to see the evidence and getting a bit of advice as to like what could possibly be the serial killer's next move and how could they catch him, etc. Then Hannibal uses the phone in quite a sort of clever scene, I feel like, to sort of find out Will Graham's address and sort of get a bit of information on Will Graham and his family. And finally, this sort of section, we get introduced to the character of Francis Dollarhide. This is a man who we sort of learn has had issues with his speech in the past. I think it maybe is mentioned about like cleft lip and these sort of facial deformities also. And then he is back at home and he's also watching this same home movie that Will Graham was watching previously of the Leeds family. So he's actually at home watching the same home movie, and I think that sort of gives us a big clue as to the character of Francis Dollarhide. So I would say that is the sort of first few chapters of the book. I think that sort of takes us the first section of the book. Who would like to chat first about what they sort of thought of the opening of the book?
I guess I'll go first. Yeah, like I think that the answer is okay. The whole starting bit, I mean, Will Graham didn't put up too much of a fight whenever your guy Jack Crawford came. I didn't really like enjoy throughout this book, is one of the things I didn't enjoy was like the whole thing with Molly, like his wife and stuff. It just doesn't seem too important almost. Like it was supposed to be like again another thing like Will Graham was battling with, but it kind of didn't really seem like it was given either enough, or it just wasn't made to seem too important. But yeah, like he comes and just asks him, yeah, there's this other case, I know you've left the force because you don't want to do any more cases, and then Will's just like, yeah, I'll do it. There isn't too much battling or anything going on there. Getting on there, I think the next, I think it might be the second or third chapter, whenever he goes to the house, or the lead's house, where he's like investigating the murder scene. He's just walking about with like a tape recorder, and he's just like giving you this inner monologue of what he's thinking and stuff, and how he's solving it. I thought that was very interesting, and like how, especially like this is a good setting, I think, for like, you know, like a murder mystery kind of thing, because there was no proper like DNA things or anything like that back then, or like the whole fingerprinting thing was,
or
like,
CCTV.
yeah, basically like it was harder to catch like serial killers and stuff. Nowadays I feel like there's absolutely no way, like an AI could probably freaking go on and decipher every CCTV footage and just match it against the face of somebody. But yeah, like it's interesting how you had to like solve it and stuff, and they're like the killer, it's like even though the killer has been very careful on all the gloves and stuff, it's like Will immediately can see how smart he is, that he was able to think that the killer took off the glove to touch her and stuff, and that's how he left the fingerprints, and like the fingerprint was actually on like the cornea or whatever of the eye. So I thought that was quite interesting. The whole thing with the electric meter, I guess, like it's not really mentioned again at all. I think it was quite a boring chapter, but I think it was basically just almost like to throw you off, because of how we learn later, which I won't get into, but how we learn later how the killer, well actually I guess we do get it here, because we do see, did you discuss that part yet, why Dollarhide?
Yeah, we sort of discussed how he's watching the movie.
Yeah. So we can kind of see that that's how Dollarhide seen the families beforehand. So it wasn't like he had to like stake out there or anything like that. But it was kind of maybe just to throw you off or something at that stage, because we didn't really know 100% at that stage. And for all we knew, he could have been staking out. But yeah, I thought it was quite boring, and the guy was quite annoying. You know, the boy that they owned the house, and they were asking the questions. He was just like, well, you asked me all this and all. He was just, but like a bit of a dick, even though he should know that obviously the police are trying to catch somebody that murdered your neighbours. I mean, like, you know, cut them a bit of slack. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed the more investigated side of this opening chapter, but I think everything else was just pretty standard, just kind of setting up backstories and whatever. So yeah, it was grand.
Thank you. Stephen, Michael, who would like to go? Stephen, yeah.
I'll go. Yeah, when I first started like listening to this, right, I felt a bit cold at the start. I was thinking, oh no, I'm not gonna like this from the get go. Particularly that, like Johnny was saying about that guy, the electric meter. I thought for some reason I just was like, I don't really think I don't think I'm gonna like this book. And then when you know he's looking around the house and everything, Will Graham, I sort of clocked really quickly that there's something about him that he's almost like a serial killer himself in the way he thinks about things. So I was thinking, was there going to be some sort of twist that he I don't know, maybe he's the killer, or he is a killer or something, like I said before. But then later on in this first sort of section, I think when Dollarhide came into it, I started getting a bit more interested. Obviously, because he's such a weirdo and all his weird practices that he does. I don't know if I found it interesting. And reflect at the time, if you had asked me like just after I finished this section, I would have said that I didn't like it. But on reflection, I did actually. It enhanced the reading of the rest of the book.
Set the scene.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I just didn't feel it until later. So yeah,
Until everything was done. Michael?
until later, just maybe a little bit later.
Ah, fair enough. Well, hindsight, isn't it? Michael, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I thought this was a good section. I thought the setup with Crawford drawing him on that whole, it's like a big cop show cliche now, that
Just one more
last
job.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good, and I liked their, even though it was quite sparse, I liked that what was hinted at their relationship, because I think that's something that Thomas Harris does well in this book too. He's built backstory for a lot of things. You get a sense that there was stuff you would nearly not think that this is like the first book that he wrote on this series, because of the backstory he dispenses makes it seem like those previous books have already been written, which is not the case, which I think really points to the fact that he really did thoroughly think about backstory to a lot of his characters and a lot of what was going on, which I thought was really good. Graham going through the Leeds house, I thought that was one of the best scenes of the book, just for how it established such a creepy atmosphere, and it was so disturbing, him going through it step by step. And again, it's another one of those things that Thomas Harris did really well in this book. He obviously did mountains of research on like the forensic side of things and how these things were broken down, because it just felt really realistic, and that realism really added to the unnerving quality of that chapter. The electric meter, again, obviously this was a red herring that we learn later in the book. At the time I was kind of wondering, where is this going? It felt a bit like I found that a little bit odd, but looking back now, I can see how it was a red herring. And then Graham reviewing the whole movie, I thought that was a good wee bit of foreshadowing to something we see later. And then Hannibal Lecter, obviously extremely fascinating character, gets mentioned here. It's the first time that he is mentioned in the series, obviously not chronologically, but in order of how they were written. And it's very interesting to know this really iconic character had his origins in there. He's not used much in this book. He's very, very sparingly used and mentioned, which I don't know how you guys felt about that. I think that was okay. I saw some reviewers complaining about that, thinking they'd been misled into this obviously being branded as a Hannibal Lecter series. It added kind of to his creepiness that he was so sparing, I thought, and I thought that was fine for me. Francis Dollarhide. Yeah, go ahead, Stephen.
Just on that, like, I did think it was kind of weird that he didn't, like Lecter wasn't the killer, or like he wasn't more front and center, because he's in a way more fleshed out than Dollarhide is.
Yeah.
Like overall.
Yeah.
In this book, and it was kind of, it seems like he has more in him than Dollarhide, so it was a bit weird that the author didn't pick him.
Yeah,
I think
but like you say, it definitely does add to his character that he's a bit more mysterious.
I think the weird thing about Lecter is he's like a sort of victim of his own success. He's so famous because of Anthony Hopkins. It's also like, I think it was like he got the Oscar when he only had like 11 minutes of screen time or something. Like Hannibal Lecter has actually always just been a supporting character in these books. I think people just want more of the character, but then I think the other issue is that then they got loads of the character in future books and future film installments, and then they got a bit sick of him.
Yeah.
In the same
whole,
time,
It's not that interesting.
Boba Fett
like,
phenomenon.
Yeah.
Stop eating people.
But like, yes, I think it's after the success of the Silence of the Lambs movie, this was then like advertised as a Hannibal Lecter book. But
yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think this was a HannibalLecter book until Anthony Hopkins, if that makes sense.
No. They leaned into the branding big time, yeah.
Which unfortunately, like, I mean, obviously with all the guesses you guys made, you all assumed it was going to be the Hannibal Lecter prequel as well. So that actually had me a wee bit worried before we did the book, because I was sort of thinking Hannibal Lecter, exactly. Had me a wee bit worried that you're all going to be very disappointed that it wasn't like a big Hannibal Lecter focused story. But yeah, I think people need to understand that he has always been a supporting character. Well, at least in the 2 books I'm aware of. I mean, I think there is a...
The initial books, I think he becomes more of a big character on like a Hannibal Rising, and then obviously you have the Hannibal TV show, which I think lends...
The chronological the first books, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, well...
Yeah. But just to
There's
finish...
a TV show?
There's a TV
Hannibal,
show called Hannibal, yeah.
Hannibal TV show starring Mads Mikkelsen as Hannibal.
Yeah, it's apparently very good. I've never seen it.
Got cancelled, that's the only thing.
Just to finish on what point I was just going to touch on too, Francis Dollarite, I thought this was a good introduction to his character. He's a bit of a weirdo, as Stephen said. I think he reminded me a lot of Stephen King characters, and I know Stephen King's a big fan of this book, so that I could definitely see that there. Jonathan mentioned the relationship with Molly. Part of me agrees, another part of me thought it was just a nice relationship, and this big conflict between them. Well, obviously, it kind of, we'd be getting into spoiler territory going towards the end, but like most of their conversations are just very nice, and like they seemed real or something. They seemed like a real couple conversation a lot of the time, which I thought kind of was...
I don't know,
refreshing.
I think I thought there was, sorry to cut you off, I thought it was a bit like hammed up a wee bit.
Maybe
that's what I took issue, I don't know.
yeah. It's a bit
could have been
shiny or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I feel like
she
only exists. Go on, Jason.
I was gonna say I don't hate the character of Molly. I mean, I think I can sort of see her viewpoint in that, like, her husband was almost killed chasing a serial killer, so she also is very worried about him going back into it, and then like subsequently down the line gets very frustrated with him due to the backlash of what is to come.
There's
Skylar White.
I almost was going to say she's a bit like Skylar in a way. I mean, her husband's not a villain, or an anti-hero at least, but
that's exactly the point that I was going to make. I feel like she only exists to kind of hold him back, or be like, again, something that the killer can use against him. Like, that's the only reason that she is in the book at all. Like, I just think I guess this book was written a while ago, so that's
81, like it's not that long ago.
It might have been but an original enough idea at the time, like that there was this wife that's at home and all, not wanting you to go out, and then all of a sudden she's getting targeted. But right now in this modern age, like, that's been done so many times that I just think it's quite boring.
That reminds me of one thing I was actually thinking during reading this book is like, I remember I watched the movie Heat with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino.
Good move. That's a good movie.
And it was cat and mouse one, but I watched it and I just thought that movie was okay. And I remember talking to a person that I worked with at the time, and I said, oh, I watched it and I know it's this big classic, but I just thought it was okay. And he said, oh, that's because you watched it as an adult. And I was like, you've watched all the movies that this inspired, so it felt underwhelming to you. And I was like, that makes complete sense. And I was wondering at points when I read this, is that the reason this is not underwhelming, seems a bit harsh, but why I wasn't loving it? Is it because I've read so many books that maybe this inspired, that it felt there wasn't like nothing new or fresh for me, you know?
Yeah. There's, if just to finish up on this kind of section, there's one thing I think somebody mentioned that I didn't really mention, was that scene where Will Graham's like talking, you know, he's watching the thing on the TV, he's watching the family thing, and that's kind of when he susses out, I think, about the talcum powder and stuff. But I like when he's like talking to himself, and he's kind of like almost talking to the killer. He's like, oh, you took your glove off, you son of a bitch, and all. He's like angry at him. And it's obviously probably like because of his fear. The fear that's been generated from like Hannibal Lecter and stuff like that, because you get the scene then when he meets Hannibal Lecter, and he's like, after they're done talking, he like runs out of the place, like, you know, because he's having like a panic attack. But it's just like, yeah, he's like absolutely detests this killer. I know the killer's done something bad, but it's not like he's done anything bad to him yet. Like, he hasn't, this is before the targeting the wife or anything like that. So it's just like, to have that hatred for him is obviously something deeper. But yeah, I like when he talks to the killer like that.
Yeah,
I liked his monologue, definitely, throughout the sort of the opening few chapters. I would agree with everybody. I felt that I can see it was a red herring, but I did not like the meter reading. I think it was more just because the character is like so jarring, I think that is probably the biggest issue I have with it, rather than the actual plot point. I just think the character and their voice was just, and their mannerisms was just like so grating almost. I think that was more my issue with that section. But no, I liked just getting introduced to all the characters of Will and a sort of walk through the house, and I liked meeting Hannibal Lecter, and I liked getting the first sort of introduction to Francis Dollarhide. So the next section, there's a little chapter about like real estate agents trying to sort of sell a gaff. I don't think there was much of importance in that. And then sort of takes us into Francis Dollarhide writing a note for Hannibal Lecter and just sort of reading through this sort of ledger / book he sort of has, which sort of describes all his history and the murders and his obsessions with the Red Dragon and everything. Then we get the sort of chapter of Will Graham. He is now investigating this house in Birmingham. He's investigating the Jacobi family. He's just sort of working through there, although I think because that murder had happened a month or so previous, I don't think there was actually much in the way of evidence at that stage. The following few chapters I feel like really, well, I'm sort of already giving a bit of my opinion on this, but I think they really pick up the tension, the drama. It's the sort of note that gets found in Hannibal Lecter's cell. It's the note from Francis Dollarhide. Once they discover this, they have to sort of try and read the note and sort of get the forensics of the note without actually letting Hannibal Lecter know that they found the note and have been in his cell. It's all that sort of side of things, like that sort of rush that to try and get everything back into place after they've read the note. And then the plan is to sort of plant their own message back to the Tooth Fairy in the Tatler, which is like a rag, like a newspaper, but like not a very good one, but it sounds good. Oh yes, and then there is a message left in the Tatler, and we're not entirely sure what it is, but it's worked out that actually the message is Will Graham's home address from Hannibal Lecter for the Tooth Fairy. So obviously Will Graham doesn't take too well to that. Then there's a few scenes with a character called Lowndes. I can't remember his first name. Is it Freddie Lowndes potentially?
Freddie Lowndes.
So they initially think that they're going to get a phone call from the Tooth Fairy, who Hannibal Lecter has been calling a pilgrim, and there is a phone call through to Will Graham, but it actually turns out to be Freddie Lowndes. And then because Lowndes is he's a journalist at the Tatler. So because he's been an absolute arse and wasting police time, they're like, you have to help us bait the Tooth Fairy. So then Lowndes writes a big article with Graham and Lowndes take a nice wee photo together afterwards. At which point Francis Dollarhide actually gets the newest edition of the Tatler and sees this article, reads this article, and gets very upset with what he's read in that, the photo of Freddie Lowndes. At which point he actually decides to capture Lowndes, and then the next few scenes are just a wee bit brutal. Lowndes is sort of glued to a wheelchair. There's a bit of sort of showing Lowndes like the home videos, or like Francis Dollarhide's own home videos, and then he bites his lips off, he sets him on fire, and he pushes him down a hill towards Tatler. At which point we sort of come to Freddie Lowndes in a hospital, and he dies, and there's not really much from that. I think he sort of like says something about Will Graham, like set him up or something like that. And then there's a lot of heat on Graham because everybody sort of thinks he did set him up. And that sort of takes us to the end of that section. I think, Johnny, you went first last time. Do you want to just sort of keep it going again? Same order?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this section. I think the kind of main things is the whole interactions with Freddie Lowndes. I like the character Freddie Lowndes. I think he's the annoying journalist character that, you know, you get in a lot of things. Yeah, I like then that his death adds this controversy too over Will Graham using him to set him up and all. But also how the death, like, you know, I think there's a part, it's like there's only a few places where the killer could be. Like, they're able to narrow down the search base to a few cities because they're the only places would have had the Tatler in time before, because I think he intercepts Freddy while he's on the way to being with Graham and all. So it's like there's only a few places he could have actually read it in time to intercept. Yeah, the whole scene with him and Freddy, you know, Freddy is reluctant to like look at his face or whatever. He doesn't, because he's like, if I see him, then he's definitely not going to let me go because I've seen him and I can identify him. So, but the killer wants him to look on him. Obviously, we know that this is one of the killer's motives, is this kind of want to be recognized and seen as basically somebody that's like good looking or beautiful or whatever. But I really like the bit where he's like showing Freddy his like movies and like talking about the families and stuff, and he's like, you see, yes, you see, like, I think that this is a chance to maybe say about the narrator brings this really creepy voice, but he just like does it like, it must be 5 or 6 times. It's like, you see, yes, and then he clips to the next one. He's like, you see, yes, and so I just thought that was very, very creepy. They do it in that Manhunter movie as well. He does the same kind of thing.
Do you see?
Do you see? Yes.
It's the South Park one that makes me think of.
Yeah, South Park. They parodied it, don't they?
I don't think the whole. I think that episode's just a parody of all serial killer movies, but I think that part was definitely.
I think.
Like, do you see?
Yeah.
Here I am.
Well,
the White House. Do you see?
Yeah, just to finish off, the whole thing, the way he killed, I think Freddy almost thought he was getting away, and then he lets him go, but he lights him on fire and pushes him down the hill so like people will find him. Again, this is kind of the killer is taking a risk here at obviously doing this kind of in broad daylight, or maybe it's at night, I don't know, but like out in public basically. But yeah, it's again more things. I think they look at like the carpet fiber and all, it's on like the wheelchair and stuff like that, so it's like although he's been careful again and he hasn't got caught, it's like there's more little clues. And I think then this is how they identified that he's driving this kind of van, which again is like this thing that he's got this van with him at all times, or when he's out and about he's always in the van. So it's another thing will come up later in the book to help identify or try and track him or whatever. I thought the stuff in this section was very good, and the whole Hannibal Lecter too, the note and stuff like that. I kept thinking when I was like reading this or listening to this, you know that Hannibal Lecter's this really smart character, and it's like they're keeping Hannibal Lecter away because they've like found this, and he does hide it in a good place. It's on toilet roll, and he hides it in between the actual roll of toilet roll he has. But part of me was thinking that did Lecter want them to find it as well? Like, it's like he would be smart enough to be able to hide it, no bother. You think that they couldn't find it? So did he hide it in the place where it wasn't obvious that he was letting them find it, but that they would find it? And then, just because he likes to like stir shit or whatever, he's playing games. Yeah, he's not really on the side of the killer either. Yeah, he wants maybe revenge on Will Graham for finding him and stuff, but at the same time, he's also a psychopath, and he's not on anyone's side. So he just wants to see.
I reckon he's a wee bit bored too. Like,
yeah, probably.
He's locked up all the time. He's probably bored.
Getting the address anyway and stuff. Yeah, I thought that was quite clever of him. And then like it kind of brings in the family aspect, and then gives the killer something to target. He kind of never gets annoyed at Hannibal Lecter for this. He's more like annoyed at the killer, obviously, even though the killer doesn't go for his family at this stage, or we don't know that he does. He'd obviously be really pissed off of Lecter at this stage, but then again, I guess he's still terrified of Lecter. So, but yeah, overall, really enjoyed this part of the book.
That's good. Stephen, have you got anything else to add?
Yeah, this was great. Like I said, I wasn't fussed on the last sort of section, maybe a bit more towards the end, but this one is where it really picked up for me. All the forensic stuff I thought was really, really interesting. It really pulled me in. All the stuff with Lecter and the toilet roll and hiding the note and everything. One thing I was wondering about is, like, it's never really explained why Dollarhide likes Lecter so much. Obviously, they're both serial killers, right? So he admires him somehow. But, like, it never goes into that anymore, other than that he knows who he is and he's a big fan. Like, because obviously Dollarhide's not eating people, or anything like that. He's not a copycat.
Didn't he mention something about that? Like, yeah, he admires him, but he wants to be the king serial killer or whatever. So if he got the chance to meet Lecter, he would kill Lecter, like, so he could be on top. I think it might be a theory
that's interesting.
Yeah, do you think that's mentioned?
That's true.
Yeah,
I like that. It was great. It's good stuff.
Thank you, Stephen. Michael, have you anything else you want to add to that sort of second section for us?
I liked the section. I thought the relationship between Dollarhide and Hannibal Lecter was interesting. It's funny, Stephen was thinking, why does Francis like Hannibal? It was kind of the other way around. I was wondering, why does Hannibal Lecter admire him? but maybe part of that was to get at Graham. He was just using him kind of as another method of psychological torture.
I think it was that boredom, and also like, Lecter, he thinks a lot of himself, and like is how smart he is, so maybe he just likes playing with people as well.
He was just
that's what I thought anyway.
No, I could see that. I thought the whole note thing was interesting, and as Jonathan was pointing out, was that like a plant by Lecter. I was actually expecting that twist to come out at some stage, or this to be like part of some kind of greater plan with Hannibal Lecter, because I think there's a similar kind of plot and Silence of the Lambs. I found Freddie Lowndes an interesting character. The whole, as you said, writing for a rag, that kind of really leech journalist who gives journalists a bad name, who's just out for whatever the controversy and scandal is. But even with him being such a detestable character, his fate was quite gruesome to read. And the best possible way. I thought this was again one of the best scenes in the book. The way that I mentioned at the start, part of my issue with the book is like parts of it feel underwritten, especially in terms of character development at times for me. But I think I also mentioned that it works at other stages, and this is a part where I felt like the really sparse writing worked a lot. Like when he just says he bit his lips off, it was just something about the lack of describing that. Just saying it as a simple statement made it feel more horrific, or just so abrupt. The abruptness of these things kind of adds to the horror of it.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that scene was really excellently done and just completely horrific and completely brutal. But yeah, that's basically all I had to say on that section.
That's good. I think the three of these have sort of covered that quite well. Just to sort of mirror what's been said, like I found this I found this one of the better sections, if not the best section potentially of this book. I felt like there was a lot going on. There's a lot of tension between the sort of letter and the Tatler, and then Lowndes being captured and subsequently killed. And we sort of get that first taste for, well, excuse the pun, I suppose, but of like Francis Hollerhide. I think, just sort of going to something Stephen said, yes, he's not really eating people, but there is like an obsession with biting people, so there is those sort of similar cannibalistic instincts in a way.
Didn't even clock it, but that's a good point.
Yeah,
I think their relationship is purely just because they're serial killers more than anything else. And I think maybe Hannibal is maybe more intrigued because it's a way to sort of get to Graham, whereas I think the Tooth Fairy is probably more intrigued because of sort of Johnny said, I think he wants to think of himself as the top dog. He's got this god complex, or red dragon complex, I suppose. But no, I thought it was a very, very exciting section. I thought it was well written. I thought the narration was very good. And I'll probably touch this a wee bit more throughout or afterwards, but I think the narration overall is actually really good throughout this. Apart from maybe those first couple of chapters with the electric meter.
Yeah, I was worried at the start. Me and my narrators. I heard him and I was like, oh no, he's a monotone guy. But then he surprised me a lot very quickly.
I think he gives a lot of emotion to it. I think he gives
100%.
Yeah.
I think I just wanted to say one more thing too about the dollar-eyed Lecter thing. I think like one reason Francis could be seeking out him too is like people always say people with a big ego always want to surround themselves or be linked to people of importance, and it could be like he wants this link to Hannibal's celebrity as well, because that's obviously a big thing with serial killers too. They want recognition and they want a piece of status and importance, and if he is like recognized by somebody like Hannibal Lecter as an equal, that could further inflate his own ego.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Did anybody else think it was interesting that, like, do you know how he sort of says, I think he says it here when he's writing to Lecter, but I think he said it a couple other times too, where Dollarhide sort of mentions that it's like, this is the vessel that I currently inhabit, as like he's some sort of external being that's inhabiting the body of Francis Dollarhide. It never really went into that too much.
I think he's transforming, isn't he, like into this dragon constantly. I think it's always brought up, and I think that's what he's talking about, like him becoming the dragon.
He's becoming the red dragon.
Is that like a serial killer trope? Do you know that they're like, they have this extra personality that's taken over type thing.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I think it's probably just the degree of like schizophrenia or something there, but like his alter ego is that of the Red Dragon, which I think might be like the devil, you know, this sort of evil being. I think, anyways, I might not be entirely right with that, but it was how I interpreted it, anyways. But yeah, I think it is just more like his schizophrenic alter ego in a way.
It's like dissociating too.
Yeah, like it's there's a few interesting bits I think with that sort of alter ego, which I think we maybe touch on in the next section. But like the whole sort of like being able to lift a weight, like absolutely mad weight when he's the Red Dragon, but not when he's Francis Dollarhide. You know, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So for this next section, starts off these first few chapters. We get a bit of a backstory on Francis Dollarhide, which I imagine is the sort of section that the middle section that Stephen said he wasn't too keen on. It's essentially, we sort of get the backstory that Dollarhide has been abandoned by his mum. He considers himself to be really ugly because he has these sort of facial deformities. He has like a cleft lip and speech impediment due to this, and just obvious like confidence issues and everything that comes with that. He then gets found by his grandmother in the sort of home, and she sort of takes him under her wing. He lives with her, but she like runs this nursing home. But we learn that she's actually also quite an evil person. I can't remember exactly what she says, but it's along the lines of he pees on the toilet seat in the middle of the night, and she's like, I'm going to cut it off, get the scissors, and that's like a whole big part of his trauma, definitely. And then we just sort of get about a section about like his grandmother's dementia and her struggling with that and her death. He eventually joins the army, gets some operations, and sort of, I think that's where the obsession comes, sort of with the sort of gruesomeness and the death. I think he sort of sees like some whole movies of like army like burn victims or like, you know, bombing victims, and I think that's sort of where part of this obsession with the death comes from. We then get introduced to a character, so this is back in the present day, we get introduced to the character Reba McLean. We find out that she is a blind lady, and I think the biggest thing is that Francis Dollarhide finds out or realises that she doesn't pity him because she can't really see how he looks or how he perceives himself to be this ugly, I suppose. We get a bit of a section on Lowndes' funeral. There's not an awful lot happens there, really. And then we sort of come back to Dollarhide and Reba, and Dollarhide gives Reba a lift back to her house. A few more sections on Lowndes. They're now investigating his death, and they sort of find out like there's this gasoline that can only come from like a certain sort of area. Or sorry, I think it can be sold in like actually sort of lots of different petrol stations throughout the sort of area. Dollarhide is getting very invested in Reba, and the Red Dragon is not too happy with this. And the Red Dragon sort of commands Dollarhide to kill Reba McLean, which he's not really wanting to. Will Graham, we're back with Will Graham and Jack Crawford, and Will's being like really pressured into making this profile on the killer because they're sort of panicking on the time frames. It's something they never really touched on, but they sort of find that the killer sort of kills around a full moon, and the next one's in like 10 days time. And then the sort of final bit for this section I have is Dollarhide and Reba. They go to the zoo. She touches a tiger. She touches his face, I'm pretty sure, and thinks he's quite handsome. And then while she's sort of there cuddling up to him, he like watches this home movie of like his next family that he's planning on killing. And because of that, he gets quite aroused. But Reba thinks it's because they're cuddling, and then they end up having sex. So that is the disturbing end to that section. Do you just want to just keep the same order? Johnny, do you want to just go again?
Yeah. I again thought this whole everything or the sections you summarised there were brilliant. Yeah, the backstory I thought was very good. I quite liked it. It kind of made me feel a bit sorry for him at times, like the especially the narrator, the way that, whenever he's just away and he kind of he calls like his granny, but he can't like speak properly because of the cleft palate and stuff. But he like the wee bit where he's in the night when he wets the bed. That's the bit you're referring to, and he's like shouting for her and all, and that's like very childlike. He's like 9 or whatever, but it's like even, or maybe he's 5. I can't remember what age he is at that stage, but it's like young sounding voice. Obviously, he hasn't able to speak yet. But yeah, I think the grandmother being very just horrible is again more or less how this character got created. Like she obviously went through other trauma and all, but she was the kind of final nail and thing. Like she is like almost like the real life dragon, because she is he fears the dragon, but obviously the dragon's all in his head or whatever. But the fear probably comes from his grandmother and being afraid of her. I think she said. I think the thing she says to him is like, "You've never seen a more dirtier, more disgusting boy," or something like that. And she says that like a few times to him, just like it's always putting him down and all. There's a bit during it as well. It's the only bit in the whole book. It's like funny it's like whenever she asks, like, can he say his name? And it's just like, yeah, the teacher or whatever is like, the other boys have been helping him. He's like, cunt face. It just ends the chapter, and I just thought that was fucking hilarious. Moving on then to the whole thing with Reba, I again thought it was a brilliant kind of like it's almost like a spanner in this great plan he has. Like he's all on board with him and the dragon and becoming this dragon or whatever, and he's like got this plan and he's going to murder this next family and all. And everything's just going well for him, and then she just comes in and kind of humanizes him again. Obviously the whole thing that he's got is that he, because of the way he was brought up and all, thought he was worthless and he was very ugly and stuff because of the deformity and his like palate and all. And she just comes in and like it's like perfect for him because she's blind. So even though I think he's had like surgery and all to get his thing fixed and like, and he's an absolute unit now. He's like working out flat out, and also he's actually got this like perfect body, it's described as. He's obviously still quite sensitive to that, but then the fact that she's blind means that he doesn't need to be sensitive about that of her. I just thought that was so clever of a way to kind of bring someone into, you know, like a love interest for him. I think the whole thing then with being conflicted with the dragon and him wanting to complete the plan, and obviously senses that Reba's this issue in the way of completing the plan, and she has to be dealt with and all. And now there's this conflict between Dollarhide and the dragon. I just thought that's brilliant. And yeah, I like the bit where he's like lifting the weights up in the attic or whatever. I think he's got like a wee home gym up there, and he's unable to do it, and the dragon like takes over, and he's able to all of a sudden up the weight and he can do it and stuff. So it's just almost like this. It's like it reminded me, you know, the film like Glass or Split, you know, whenever it's like it's about those superheroes and it's like they can't really do anything, but then all of a sudden they could transform and he becomes like super strong and all. And I know that is about superheroes and all, but like this is, yeah, it just kind of reminded me of that. And there's the bit in the attic then when the dragon's like in control of him, and he like makes him get scissors and is about to cut off his own penis. And it's like this, obviously the trauma arose with the granny originally, and now like this dragon is still, which is how I like linked the granny and the dragon as well. And I just think it's like he's terrified of this dragon, and it's just like taking over him. I just the whole conflict behind, like, I think he might have been Michael mentioned earlier, brought up about the, you know, the fact that you have this mystery and you don't know who the killer is, but like we more or less know who the killer is the whole time. I think we get introduced to Dollarhide pretty early on. I like the way it was done in this book, how you're kind of seeing the conflict that he's going through, not like as it's happening, rather than, you know, you don't know who the killer is, and then at the end you might maybe find out all the issues. I just like the way it was developed here. But yeah, I think that kind of covers everything. So yeah, really enjoyed this whole section.
Yeah, so I'll just jump on it. So I kind of hinted at the start that I had a problem with a section, and like Jason rightly guessed it was this bit, the Dollarhide flashback. But now at the start, I kind of felt a bit like uncomfortable because we know that he's this horrible person and he's done all these bad things, but then to hear his backstory and how his granny, like how he was left abandoned as a child, how he has like a, you know, facial deformity, and how he can't speak properly, and he's all these horrible things. Then his granny adopts him, and he's kind of there's a bit of hope for him, but we know that it's obviously going to go wrong, right? And it does go wrong, and his granny's a bit mean and well, she's very mean, and she the dementia and all that there. And I started feeling sorry for him, and I was like, this feeling uncomfortable myself with that, because I know he's a serial killer, and it was just this weird discomfort that I had for that section. But in a way, it kind of enhanced the book for me, because it brought out these emotions, if that makes sense, which I was surprised about. The sort of conflicting emotions of distaste and discomfort, and also pity for this guy was just it was a roller coaster. But yeah, I thought like nobody should ever have to go through that. And then I was wondering, would he have been better off if his granny didn't come for him? Because it seemed like, when he's in is it Brother Buddy's orphanage? I don't even know if it's orphanage or what it is. But he's with all the other kids, and they're like, I think they're trying to help him speak properly, and it seemed like that would have been better for him than going off with his granny. So yeah, I really liked that, and also didn't like it at the same time. But yeah, wasn't bad, but uncomfortable. And all the stuff with Reba, I thought was really interesting, obviously because she's blind. So I don't know if it's in this this section, right, where he shows her the films, but obviously she can't see it.
It's just before they have sex. So
so I was like, that's so messed up. Like, obviously he wants like someone to not witness it, but someone to be like partisan to his deeds, essentially, and then he sort of forms an attachment with her and all, and it was really sick, the way he was going on, but also kind of nice for him as well. And of course she starts to, I don't know if you said about this, but he starts to make him change, or want to change. And I was a bit worried that was going to happen. Like, he was not going to get away with it, but that he was going to, change and just become a better person, and yeah, I suppose get away with it. But what was the middle part of that? Oh, the funeral bit as well. Yeah, I didn't really feel much for the funeral. Like, it was kind of like, yeah, okay.
That was fine. There wasn't much in the funeral, in fairness.
Yeah, it's good section, but liked it. Didn't like it.
You liked that, didn't like it.
All the feelings. But I think that's good in a book like this, because you're not supposed to like the guy. So
yeah, you're not supposed to enjoy the section of a child being like essentially tortured by his grandmother, and threatening to have his Mickey cut off. Speaking of Mickey, Michael.
So I said in my summary review that I had a bit of an issue with the backstory segment, the way it was dispensed. I said I think it could have been dispensed a bit more skillfully, like just throughout the narrative instead of this big block. I do like what's in there. I agree with what Stephen and Jonathan were saying. There's a lot of conflicted feelings introduced about Francis here, and you really do feel sorry for him despite the despicable man he becomes. You're like, oh my god, what he went through was horrific, especially with his grandmother. And you do feel sorry. It's just, I thought maybe this could have been achieved with less. I think the same information could have been imparted in drips and drabs throughout, and it would have made it more creepy. It would have built it a bit better. But I think what was there was good character work. It was my issue with the way it was written, and I think it just could have been handled a bit better and flowed a bit more naturally through the narrative, because it felt like this kind of grinding halt, and it would have let that mystery linger on a bit more, and let like the readers asking questions about this as we learn more. It was kind of just all dumped all together, so there was never any, like, I think sometimes you want there to be a bit of tension and you want to be asking questions like, oh, what else happened, what else, and then but it just kind of gives it all to hear, and I think that takes away a lot of that narrative tension and that narrative hunger to know more. But yeah, I still think what was there, that was really good character work. It did make you feel sorry for Francis, and yeah, very conflicted and uncomfortable. I think what Stephen used a good word there. Makes you feel uncomfortable about it. The stuff with Reba and Francis, it was kind of nice, kind of sweet. I thought what she brings out in him, Jonathan touched on this a lot, but like that he's so insecure about his looks, and he's obviously put so much effort into looking good, but he still feels this deep sense of insecurity, like it'll never be enough. And then Reba comes along and she just kind of likes him for him and his personality, and he's probably never thought about his own self-worth in those terms. It's always been, when he was younger, he's like, I'm ugly, therefore I'm worth nothing, and I have to make myself more beautiful in order to be worth something. And then she kind of breaks that illusion, and it gives you this hint, and it's part of the tragedy of his character, that he could have been a happier person if he had have realized that sooner. It's just very sad. And then at the moment when they bring Reba to the zoo and we get it from her point of view, her touching the tiger, I thought that was a really beautifully described moment of the book, and it kind of anchors you on that and her POV, which becomes important in later, more tense parts of the book. And that home movie part that both Stephen and Jonathan talked about, I was just completely fucked up. Like, that was, my God, that was the mixed feelings of that scene as well. It was just, but yeah, some problems with the backstory stuff. Still liked it. Just thought it could have been, I could have loved it, you know, if it was handled a bit differently.
I don't know. I don't think I said this, but I would agree about the, you know, drips and drabs as opposed to Big Bang, because it was a bit jarring, I found as well.
Yeah, I would agree.
Have all this just handed to you, but like I said, I didn't dislike. I did, but I didn't.
And almost
very
like
ambivalent.
almost like too much backstory.
Yeah,
but yeah, would agree. I think of all of that. I mean, there's a lot of fucked up scenes in this book, but I think him getting horny watching just a family video. It's not even like dead people at this stage, it's just like people he wants to murder, him getting horny about that, and then actually having sex. And like, I think it might technically be the next section, but like the morning after, when he's like, it was my first woman that was alive or something like that. It's fucking grim.
Jeez. Yeah,
so it's not a nice book, not a pleasant book by any means. No, it was I did like, in isolation, I actually did like the backstory, but I think in the context of the book, I think it is a bit jarring, and I think maybe it just goes on a bit too much to sort of take it to the movie. Well, it's more Red Dragon from memory. Like, I think Red Dragon introduces and gives us that backstory in like a 1 minute voiceover of like her like threatening to get the scissors, you know. I think that gives us enough detail.
That would have been enough, yeah. I agree.
Yeah. I felt like it just was a bit too much, but I did like it in isolation.
So it was the scissors, like cutting his Mickey off, and then also because he felt betrayed by the neighbour or something, wasn't it? Because he was with that girl beforehand. He
was naked or something. They both got naked, or
and the granny saw him, but the next door neighbour caught them, and he thought that she told on them. Yeah. And then he felt betrayed and wouldn't talk to her anymore after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he obviously harbours some paranoia as well from that.
Man's got some issues
as well.
Should probably see a therapist. I know a good one. Grant, I'm going to move on to the second last section. So, second last portion of the book, we start off and Will Graham, that guy, we hadn't heard from him at all in the last section. Will Graham is listening to a tape that the Tooth Fairy, the Red Dragon, made Freddie Lounge record before he died, and that rather grimly finishes with the audio of Freddie Lounge getting his lips bitten off. We move back to Dollarhide, and this section is the Red Dragon sort of commanding him to kill Reba, and then it's a sort of section about him like absolutely pumping iron and just bench pressing like mad. So because of the Red Dragon's like want or thirst for Reba, like Dollarhide is sort of panicking, and he sort of trying to come up with a way to like either save Reba or just like get rid of the Red Dragon at all. So he decides that his plan is going to be he's going to visit this museum, and at which point he visits this museum and gets like a wee tour, and he gets to see the Red Dragon painting, which is what he is like so obsessed about, and he actually eats the painting in the museum. I think he maybe attacks a few people on the way to eating this painting. During these chapters, there's a few sort of bits of Will Graham as well, because that sort of museum section is sort of split into a few chapters. During this, like, it's just sort of sections about Will Graham, like, struggling to work out who the killer is. He thinks it might be someone that's, like, works in a hospital. And then he actually is watching the Jacoby family video, and he sort of notices that, like, one of the doors, like, has a padlock on it. But then he realizes that that was not how the Tooth Fairy broke into the house. The Tooth Fairy brought a bolt cutter, but he had to actually break in a different way. Something like that. Like, the doors had been changed. And he was like, the doors were changed like 2 months ago. How is he scoping out these houses so long? And he realizes that it's actually the videotapes that is like the big clue. That is how the Tooth Fairy is like sort of picking out his victims. It's like all these home movies. So yeah, Dollarhide eats this painting, and then as Will Graham is like, I think he's maybe travelling to like sort of investigate the video place, like he finds out, him and Crawford find out about the Tooth Fairy, the Red Dragon painting being eaten. And I think we'll stop it there before we get into the final section.
So, yeah, I again, this was another, just building up for me in terms of enjoyment. I thought this was really good as well. Him like almost like turning a corner and, you know, seeing that he doesn't want to do this anymore because of Reba, and he wants her to live and everything. And the dragon, he talks to the dragon, and it's clear that the dragon is like a manifestation of his granny in his brain, but like he doesn't want the dragon to get her, which means he doesn't want to kill her. So he, you know, as you said, he goes to try and deal with it. I was like, what's he gonna do here? Because I didn't, you know, I didn't, for some reason I didn't clock that there was going to be like another, like the original painting. I thought he just had a painting. I didn't know it was like a big famous painting. I think I missed that. So he goes to the museum and everything, and I think it really showed like more Francis than the dragon, because, or Dollarhide than the dragon, because he's so sloppy in the way that he goes in and everything. Like, you tell that, you know, he's scoping out the guards who have weapons and stuff like that there, but when he attacks the 2 women, you know, he just like blunt force hits them, but he's not subtle about it at all. Whereas I think the dragon would have been a bit more sneaky. And then he doesn't try and cover it up at all. You know, he's been seen in broad daylight. There's multiple people who can identify him. He just doesn't really care anymore. Or like, not that he doesn't care, but he's not careful. And him eating the painting, there was something really funny about that to me, especially in the Red Dragon film. Just Ralph Fiennes eating that painting. It was brilliant.
That was a good
scene. And then it was, yeah, and Will Graham clocking it from the movies was so. It was just, it was one of those like realization moments for a character in a book that I just got an immense like feeling of joy from. Like, I was like, oh yeah, that's really satisfying. Watching this character, you know, realize something. Yeah, I really liked it. I just find that whole like sort of detective like cop thing where, you know, they're trying to work something out. I find that really interesting. That's like a, not genre, but like a subject that I really like. So seeing him figure it out and, you know, work out the doors and stuff, how the doors have been changed and all that there, and the, you know, the dog collar too. I'm not sure. I think that was in the book. I know it was in the film, but I think it was in the book as well. About how, well, it must have been the tape, because he knew the exact dog. He knew like about the doors. He knew all these things that you couldn't see from just scoping them out, like from outside the house or whatever, or just turning up. So yeah, it was just really good. I really liked it.
Have you ever watched The Wire, Stephen? I
think I tried to watch The Wire with Sean, like, must have been 10, 15 years ago now, but I couldn't get into it. It's one of those ones that I've been meaning to go back to, because
if you like that kind of figuring out, that slowly piecing together things, The Wire has got a lot of that. Like,
oh, it's very slowly pieced together. Yeah, no, it's good TV.
Yeah, I'll put it on the list.
Good TV. Well, we're sort of changing up the order. Johnny, would you want to go first, or Michael, do you want to jump in here next?
Sure, go ahead, Michael. I've been going first, so you go ahead.
Yeah, I was just okay on this section. I think the conflict and the escalation, the inner turmoil was building well. I found the museum section a little bit silly. I don't know. It just felt like this, what had happened in this book earlier. It felt a bit more gritty, and then it started to get a bit Dan Brownie for me. And this, you know, not that there's anything wrong with Dan Brown books, they're exciting and everything. It just felt it felt a bit pulpy compared to this how serious and gritty it was at the start, but entertaining. I didn't dislike it. It just felt like it was a different. It was becoming a different book at that stage.
See, that's what I was kind of saying. No, I think there was like a shift there, like, you know, because he's more Francis, not the dragon. That, you know, there is a bit of a shift there. I think it might be intentional.
Yeah, I did like that you pointed that out, Stephen, because it didn't really occur to me when I first read it, but it makes a lot more sense of why it's slopping. Like he's more on the headspace of Francis, and he's getting really desperate. It's just I don't know. It felt like I was reading, you know, a Dan Brown action book for a second, you know, and I don't know. I just thought this book was a bit better than that, and the earlier sections in the middle. But it's a short section. Again, I'm being very nitpicky to kind of justify my like. You used the exact words I wrote down, Jason. I mean, Stephen, while Jason was speaking about that being satisfying, that was great detective work, and it was very satisfying the way that Graham followed it. It was very realistic, and it was just, you could see the working out of how he got it, and yeah, just when he was finally aligned with what we knew as an audience, that was a great moment. So overall, I would say I was just okay on this section compared to some earlier ones.
Yeah, thank you. Johnny, anything else to add there?
Not too much to add. Yeah, I really liked the part where I'm working it out. Thought, yeah, this satisfying is the best word to use there, and I completely agree with what Michael was kind of getting at there. I thought the bit with the painting was a bit strange, almost out of place, but yeah, Stephen made a good point there about it being, yeah, it's kind of him almost turning good in a way because he's trying to fight against the dragon. So I understand the point of the whole thing. I just thought it was a bit stupid, a bit silly. So yeah, it was fine, but yeah, not much else to add on what the other guy said.
Yeah, I wouldn't have much else. I think I found the sort of museum scene weird. I think this is one of the things that does differ from Manhunter. This is sort of new to me, and I thought I could see the sort of reasoning, because like it's the red dragon, it's this painting that he thinks if he eats it will get rid of the beast, get rid of the red dragon. But yeah. I found that was all just a bit strange and a bit reckless, I suppose. But as Stephen sort of rightly pointed out, this was more Francis Dollarhide doing all the work rather than the red dragon, so that does sort of actually make a bit of sense. But yeah, satisfying being the key word when Will Graham finally catches up and stops fucking about with his guesses, stupid hospital workers and everything else that he kept trying to throw at us. I think that's like the sort of the drawback from knowing who the murderer is. I think there's other books we've read or listened to, like the Thursday Murder Club, where we don't know who's killed the person. Like it's satisfying to finally work it out at the end, whereas I think in a book like this, when we know who the murderer is, it does sort of almost get a bit frustrating when you're sort of waiting on the main character to sort of catch up to what you already know in a way. But yeah, we finally got there when I sort of watching the home videos cracked the case. Yeah, it was a fine section. It wasn't my favourite by any means. It was okay. Dollarhide is sort of going back to his work, and he actually stumbles across these police officers, these FBI agents, sort of investigating his office. So he realises that the FBI is now onto him. So he decides that he has to kill Reba. I can't remember the exact reasoning behind it. I think the Red Dragon sort of says like you have to kill Reba to save yourself. He thinks
that she told on him. She's found something when she was with him and give it to the FBI.
Alright, well there you go. So the FBI are sort of there and they're trying to work out which employee of this photo developing place is the killer. Following section, Reba gets kidnapped by the Red Dragon, and this character, Ralph Mandy, gets murdered. Ralph was just a bit of a creep with Reba, in fairness, but I mean, it didn't really deserve to get murdered. So then Reba gets sort of taken back to Dollarhide's at this point. I think there is mention of sort of gasoline in the trunk, or in the truck. Will Graham works out that it is Dollarhide. He sort of notices like all these dates that sort of line up with the murders on Dollarhide's calendar. They arrive at Dollarhide's house to find that the house is on fire. Reba runs out and she sort of says Dollarhide killed himself, shot himself, and like he's in that burning house. Then we sort of get to the aftermath of the fire, They sort of say like it'll take a while to sort of work out everything that's happened. There's a bit of chat about Molly, I think, refusing to go home, which just to allude to Michael's points there. And then they do find a body at this house, and they assume that it must be Francis Dollarhide and announce that he's dead. Will Graham then drives home to I think it's like Florida or something, isn't it, or Miami? I can't remember where he lives, but he drives home with his family, and like everything all is well at this stage anyways. But then we sort of I'm not entirely sure on the time frame, but I don't think it must be just a couple of days, but it's like there are mentions of the marriage being strained, and then we get a call from Jack Crawford. I don't think we get alerted. I think Crawford's trying to call to be like, it's not Francis Dollarhide's body, or else while he's been told this, I think he gets attacked anyways by Dollarhide, and he gets stabbed in the face, which I think is like a sort of bit of a nice parallel between these two both having like these facial injuries now. But anyways, Dollarhide gets killed, Graham survives, and he wakes up in the ICU, and then we find out that Molly's probably going to leave him, and Hannibal Lecter sends Graham like a wee letter just to sort of slag him off pretty much, and that is how the book ends. Johnny, I'm going to leave you the last game because I know you had issues with this section, and I think I'll just go into Michael first. Actually, let's sort of change up the order for the last section. So Michael, do you give us your thoughts?
I thought the ending was pretty good. I find the whole keeping Reba captive thing was very tense, especially the moments from her point of view. I thought they were very well done and just added to the whole unknown quality of it all. Will Graham's the kind of disintegration of his relationship with Molly, I thought was it felt a bit abrupt, kind of, that she took that heel turn. You know, I think he could have built up to that a bit better through the narrative. I know she was struggling with it, but it felt like there was a couple of missing steps to get to that point. You know, I think the problem, maybe I'm wrong, but I think the problem that Jonathan probably had with it, which I know a few reviewers did, was Francis coming back and it not having been him and this whole kind of twist. I thought that was okay. I don't know. I wasn't crazy about it. Again, it's similar to the museum part. It felt like it was maybe more of an action kind of scene, and this book that felt like it was more gritty at the start. So, and I really preferred the dark, brooding first half of the book compared to moments like that. I think, I don't know if you used this word a few times in this. Was it used shoehorned, Jason? Maybe I felt a bit. Yeah, maybe that felt a bit shoehorned, you know, like there hasn't been a confrontation between Francis and Graham, and obviously like the villain and the hero need a confrontation, so maybe that was put on there and it didn't feel maybe as organic as it should have felt. But I did like the fact that he gets caught in that whole symbolism of being similar on the outside, as he's always feared he was similar to him on the inside, you know, and him being scarred by this case both externally and internally. And it's kind of a sad ending for Graham too, because you kind of, even though he's won the case and he's solved it, you don't really have a sense that he's going to be okay after all this. It feels like it might be a step too far as his mental health is concerned. But overall, I would say liked it, had some issues with it, but they were nothing major to me.
Yeah, I'm glad there was nothing major. Stephen?
Yeah, so going into this part, I was a bit worried because obviously there's a whole bit with Reba where, you know, it seems like he shoots himself, and I did believe that he did, because again, I was still reading from the last section where, you know, Francis is there kind of battling the dragon in his head, sort of, about, you know, killing her or not killing her or whatever, and I thought that maybe he killed himself to, like, so that he could save Reba. So I sort of believed it, right? So I was then worried that, that's not the payoff that I wanted for this. You know, I wanted him to get caught, to serve time, or at least have a confrontation with Graham and that other guy, whatever his name was, the other Harvey Keitel in the film.
Jack Crawford.
That's the one. So yeah, so I was drawn in, and I thought, this is a big letdown now. So to see him come back at the end, I know the other two, I think the other two guys didn't like it, but I loved that. I thought it was a great twist that he came back, and they had the whole shootout and everything. Thought it was great ending. It definitely had me. The whole stuff about Graham being in the hospital and all, I completely missed the whole relationship on the rocks part, I don't know. That completely went by the wayside for me. I don't think I had that at all during the film, or not the film, the book. So that's interesting to hear. But I know there was stuff about like her not wanting to come back and everything, but I thought that was more like she just wants to spend time with her parents and stuff, that sort of way. So I don't know. But yeah, having the hospital and like getting all the information, I something about that was just really nice to me. Wholesome in a way, even though he's like super injured. But he's getting this payoff that he solved it, and the guy is dead now, so he's not going to hurt anybody, and blah blah blah. And reading over the book too, it was something nice about that for the character. It was good. It's good ending.
Cheers, Stephen. Johnny?
Yeah. So, like, I'd say I liked say this is the final 10% of the book. I liked the first 5%. So, but I liked was the Will Graham and Crawford going to like the place where he works, and like he sees them there and kind of more or less gets this heads up before. I thought that was really good. I liked how he kind of got this, because it was, I was thinking, is this just going to be now they've discovered it? Are they just going to go and just catch him, and they maybe catch him at work and they'll put up some kind of fight, but that'll be it. But I like the way he got this like jump on them essentially. And then I liked how he went then to Reba's thinking that maybe she did it, and then also that I think she thought that she might have been, I guess you can't really say the word cheating because I don't think they were properly together, but like she was with this other man, and that kind of broke his heart a little bit and basically let the dragon take full control again. I really liked all that stuff, and then I kidnapped her and took her to the house. And I really liked that he had this conflict that he couldn't let the dragon have her. And then the psychotic thing, obviously, you're thinking, go and just kill yourself and let her go. But the psychotic thing is to kill her with you. I thought that was brilliant. And then I think what Michael said was like right about this. Like he just shoots himself and she gets out, and that was kind of it. I thought that was very anticlimactic. Like for me, that was what just happened. Was he just shot himself and then she was able to get away, and it was kind of like I was like, is that kind of it? And then the fact then that he came back also was a bit stupid for me, or shoehorned on. It was like, because they described the way he did it was that he like lit the fire, and then he brought on the similar guy that he killed earlier and shot. It was actually him that he shot, so that when she felt the bite, she felt his like head splitting the bits because of the shot, and he just hid in the corner and let her get out. Like that was very clever the way he did it and stuff. But I was like, what was the point in him doing all that just to go then to Will Graham and then fucking just fuck it off again? I think I would have preferred that it was that he killed himself, and maybe then there was some little thing at the end just before it ends that he actually got away and he was still alive. Like I don't know how you would have done it, but that it kind of leaves it.
That's in a jaw. He's no jaw. He's shot it.
I don't know, like it just like freaking fast forward 5 years and it's just like describing this character and you can kind of see that it's him. I don't know, but like just that he got away essentially, and it was like left. I know it because I've seen the Silence of the Lambs. I know he wasn't in it, but like just saying this was written before that, so like that he could have had that character come back, I think might have been better for me, or did something a bit more like the whole battle with Graham again was another direction that probably people would have been expecting, and I thought that would have been alright, that you wanted them to meet at some stage to have the conflict. But yeah, it just felt a bit forced then that he just like showed up randomly, knew where he was and all. I just thought it was a bit stupid. That just kind of ruined it for me almost. I just didn't like that very last part of the book. I just didn't like how it ended.
He did have his address from Hannibal, in fairness.
Yeah, true. Like, but yeah, just I don't know. It just didn't really sit right with me. The whole ending. It didn't sit.
Now that you say it, like I was so like swept away with the whole like action of the thing that I never thought about why he shot the other guy in the moment. But thinking about it now, it was probably multiple things. Like he knew that they were onto him. They were coming for maybe not him, but they were looking for someone in his work. Then Francis doesn't want to kill Reba, so I still feel like he was wrestling with himself on that part. Yeah. And then it was sort of like, the house is on fire. Sort of in the moment, he shoots the other guy. Like maybe he goes to shoot her, or well, he says that he's going to shoot himself, doesn't he? So I don't know. I don't know.
I think
I feel like you could reason it out there, but yeah, it does. a little bit silly now that you pick it up.
I think the problem is that what he did there was very clever, but then he just did something stupid by going after Will Graham again, and it just kind of felt a bit random. It was like, yeah, Will Graham was hunting him this whole time, but it wasn't like Will Graham was like his absolute mortal enemy or anything, and then all of a sudden he just throws it all away just to get a chance to try and take Will Graham out. It just felt like it didn't really go with the rest of the book. It was more like it wasn't really, he hadn't to really get revenge on because Will Graham hadn't actually caught him. So
Yeah,
it just felt
That's a good point.
it just felt a bit stupid to me. It wasn't satisfying. But yeah, that's just my opinion on that. But I think overall, although the ending is a very important part of a book, I think I still really enjoyed the book overall. It's just, yeah, a bit of a shame on that point.
I suppose where we sort of leave things with Dollarhide is that like he sees the FBI in his place of work, so he just assumes that like he is already caught, and he knows it's Will Graham because Will Graham has been the one investigating him, and that's sort of being made clear with like the Lowndes interview and Lecter's letters and all the rest. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about the ending myself. It was definitely different. Like I say, my background to this was Manhunter, which has a different ending than the book itself. I think I did enjoy the tension of it, although part of me does think, would I have enjoyed it actually ending with Dollarhide killing himself to sort of save Reba, potentially, although that might have been like a bit of a, like I may have just sort of stopped things in their track a wee bit.
Yeah,
if he killed
I
himself.
would have liked it if it went that way. I've like, because I was annoyed when it happened.
Fair enough, but I liked leading up to the end. But yeah, that sort of the scene at Graham's house is a bit of a strange one, definitely. Has anyone got anything else they'd like to add, or should we go into our star ratings? Star rating. I hated that actually.
I thought it was really good.
Wow.
We should do more of those for different sections.
It will have to happen naturally. Next time you say something that's like book intro or whatever, or, you know, a certain thing, Michael will capture it. Right, Jason, go back to you. Jason hates us.
Jason's just checked out. He's just like,
He's
fuck
just
it.
loving that we transition song.
Yeah,
Can't
he's
believe it.
just sitting thinking about it.
Sorry, I'm back. Johnny, sorry, did you give your score?
I did not. Did you run away when I was about to give my score because you were afraid?
No, I just sorry, Mary Kate was in the room. So
All right. Yeah, so like I said, I enjoyed 95% of this book. Thought it was very good. Just, yeah, really enjoyed the character of Dollarhide. Thought it was very interesting. I liked Will Graham. I would agree with what Michael said at the very start, that he didn't get maybe as much flushing out, and like some of his demons that he's dealing with, I would have liked to see a bit more of that. But overall, yeah, the investigation, the kind of sick mind that Dollarhide had, and then ultimately how they kind of found out about him and stuff was very satisfying. Thought it was just a very good kind of serial killer story. But yeah, it is a shame about the ending that I didn't enjoy it as much, but that only kind of detracts from my score a bit. But yeah, I think overall I'll give this a 7.5.
thank you, Johnny. Stephen, would you like to rate next?
Sure. Yeah, I was, like I said, I hinted at earlier, I was pleasantly surprised at this book. Going into it, I thought I wasn't going to like it at all, and as it went on, I just grew to just love it. Okay, I'll just say it, I loved it. 9. I think the characters were, for me, fleshed out enough. Well, I mean, I think I got enough of Graham to sort of gauge his personality. Dollarhide was really well done. Lecter was a bit mysterious, but that obviously works in his favour, and also just, yeah, it's just great. The plot was brilliant. I thought the only bit that I had an issue with was that middle bit. Like I said, again, I didn't hate it, I didn't like it. It was just the emotions that it brought out of me, I liked, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I liked experiencing that. So overall positive. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna probably read it again, and I think I'll read the rest of the books as well.
Good man.
9.
Michael?
Yeah, as you know, Jason, I've pretty much telegraphed my score from the beginning because I said I liked it, and we have a rating scale, and that on that rating scale, liked it is It's a 7, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Correct.
a 7. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just going to say it right now. I'm a 7. I came onto this book expecting to give it higher than that, which is why I have done the Jason thing where I've framed a lot of it in a negative light. But I still think like the backstory of this was really good. The ideas for the characters, like Will Graham, this conflicted FBI specialist who could think like a serial killer. I thought that was a really intriguing idea. I just didn't think it was realised to its full capacity. I had a few issues with some of the Francis stuff, like the backstory stuff. I thought all the stuff we got was really good. Just thought the way it was written and the way it was given to us could have been done a bit better. The museum part and that part where the kind of jump scare ending too, they felt a little bit cheap. Not completely cheap, but it didn't like ruin the book or anything for me. It just felt a bit cheap compared to really great earlier scenes like the Freddie Lowndes moment or when Graham was like inspecting the murder scenes. I thought those were fantastically written moments. And the stuff with Reba, a lot of that stuff was really well written as well. So I had a lot to enjoy in this book, but there was a feeling for me of unrealized potential just with the way it connected with me personally. So yeah, that's why I'm giving it a 7.
No, good man. I'm quite happy overall. It's very positive scores. I really liked the book. I thought it was a strong 8 out of 10 for me. I feel like there were some flaws, but overall I really enjoyed the book, and I think I will listen to the rest of the series over time. It's a good book. Sort of glad everybody had a good time with it for a change with one of my books. So
yeah, good man. Thanks for recommending.
I might not be last this year. Grant, before we hand over hosting duties to someone else, does anyone have any sort of comparisons or trivia or anything else they'd just like to sort of bring up before we announce our next book?
I guess just the 2 movies that you mentioned in the previous episode that there were.
Oh yeah,
I watched the Manhunter one. That's like you said you got into. It was obviously made in '86. It had slight cheesy 80s action movie vibes about it. It had that weird jazz kind of music over the top of it, or that kind of stuff. But okay, it was a decent movie. It was alright. It didn't stick to it's followed the story a lot, but there were some key bits left out, mainly the part about the actual dragon, which I thought obviously maybe would have been quite hard to do then in that time, or to convey it as well. But yeah, it was an alright movie for me. But yeah, I watched the first 20 minutes of the actual Red Dragon one, and it has like obviously a lot of like big cast, like Anthony Hopkins, Edward Norton, and Ralph Fiennes I think's in it. And from the first 20 minutes, I think it was like, that it gives you that extra bit, that introduction to Hannibal Lecter, because obviously people know about that character and love that character. But I can tell that I will enjoy that movie more, so I'm going to finish that at some stage.
I would say that the Red Dragon movie is a more faithful adaptation of the book compared to Manhunter. Although I would say my heart lies with Manhunter. I think it's a more... I just think it's the better movie, personally. Not a better adaptation necessarily, but a better movie. Stephen has watched Red Dragon, although he's had to go, I think. So, Michael, have you anything?
No, I haven't. I didn't get around to watching either of them, but I think I said during my review that it was kind of like reading a screenplay at times with how sparse things were in this, which to me also could say that these movies could be really good, because a lot of my issues were with the way things were realised, not the actual things happening. So I could see like somebody else's interpretation of this book. Wouldn't be surprised if I ended up loving one of those movies. So I definitely do want to check them out. It's just, as I said to you at the top of this episode, I've been watching a series that has taken over my life. So that was the main reason I didn't get around to them.
No, I really like both movies, in fairness, so I think you'll enjoy either one. I do think Stephen probably would have something to say at this section, and just to chat about Red Dragon, but he's not here, unfortunately, at the minute, so...
Yeah, so will I say what I'm doing then?
Yeah, go for it. We can just let Stephen know.
Yeah, no bother. So, because I was the last pick last year, I only get 2 books this year. I was thinking about doing a book like The Trip by Nick Cutter or a different horror book or something like that. But then I was like, then my next book is going to be a Stephen King book, and that would mean I'm picking like 100% horror this year. So I've decided that I wanted to pick a lighter book for my first book. And I said to you guys last year, I'm probably not going to pick a fantasy book. Changed my mind on that. I'm going to pick a fantasy book, but it's not an epic fantasy book. It is a series that has its own series, TV series and movie. So you guys might have heard of it, but I'll put it through here and see if any of you guys know it. And if not, we can hopefully do a guessing game, but we'll see. So that's it there.
Michael, I knew that's what you're going to put up. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember last episode where I was like, I have 2 books that I want to chat about, and I decided to choose Red Dragon first. This was the next book I was going to pick. This was my next choice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's fun.
There you go.
So the book is Northern Lights by Philip Pullman. It's volume 1 of the Dark Materials series. And there's a few versions on Audible you'll notice, or if that's the one that you're using. The one that we're doing is read by Ruth Wilson, so it's a relatively new recording and it's got less reviews, so just make sure it is the one by Ruth Wilson you listen to, because there's also a BBC dramatization where it abridges the books all together, so I didn't want to do that one because I want us to do the full book. And there's another one that's read by Philip Pullman and the full cast, which I really love, but I wanted to give this new version of it a shot, so this one is read by Ruth Wilson, the one that we're doing.
Taking a risk. Love it.
Yeah.
I actually can't believe it. That was literally my next pick.
This is one of my all-time favorites, so just not to telegraph again what my score will be next time, but do you guys know this book or series? Have you read it or anything
I've
before?
watched a few episodes of the BBC show. I know a rough idea of it.
Yeah.
I definitely quoted a Philip Pullman line from one of these books in my wedding vows.
Yeah.
No, I've never actually engaged properly with the books. But yeah, literally I was. This is my banker for a good score for my next pick, and you just took it from me. I'm raging. I feel like I have enough to know about this book that I don't want to guess, because I feel like I have enough knowledge about it.
Right. Jonathan, would you like to guess?
Yeah, I haven't seen the show is on the list to watch, but I haven't even read what it's about or anything like that. So from the cover, just to describe, it's basically also called Northern Lights, and it's this kind of Icelandic or northern wintry kind of region. You can see some icy peaks, and there's some trees, some like those evergreen trees that you kind of find in those Arctic kind of areas. And then kind of centered in the middle is a like a stopwatch, almost like a golden stopwatch that's got like some hands on it. I'm assuming that picture is the narrator. There's like a picture of a woman there. Yeah. So
there's a picture of Ruth Wilson, yeah.
Yeah. His Dark Materials. So obviously something to do with time anyway.
Oh.
Yes, Stephen, Jonathan's still breaking down the cover and having his guess.
Yeah. I've just basically described the cover, so I'm going to give my guess now. So I'm going to say it's a venture. Well, obviously it's a fantasy, but it's some kind of adventure, probably by a group of kids or teens, definitely a young group, and they're going. The journey takes them to this Arctic. Maybe this is another dimension, or like a Narnia kind of thing, where it's like another world, and there's some element of time travel at some stage. I'm not sure that links in. That might be when they journey through this portal or how they get to this world. There's some kind of time element involved as well. But yeah, I think my main is this journey of these young characters, and they're looking for some dark materials.
Okay.
Anything from you, Stephen? Anything?
Okay, yeah. I mean, just looking at I've never heard of it before or read it. Well, I've heard it before just from you mentioning that it was good, but I don't know any of the plot or anything like that. I've never read the book, watched the show or nothing. But looking at the cover, like Johnny said, it looks like a sort of Arctic and because it's Northern Lights, like the Arctic is involved. But then if it's a fantasy, it could be some alternative dimension or different, plane. Or maybe it's like Sweden or somewhere. I don't know. Where else does the Northern Lights be? But then looking at the watch, I don't know if it's a watch, but it has hands, but it's in all numbers. It looks more like just symbols, like runic. Is it runes? Maybe I see a question mark and then some random runic like symbols and then a few letters. I don't know. It's a magic watch, but it doesn't tell the time. It tells you where the magic is. I don't know. It tells you where the dark materials are.
Oh, that's like it's you're basically going to draw a comparison between the compass Johnny Depp has in Pirates of the Caribbean.
I was thinking that. I did want to say that. Yeah. I can't really get anything other than that. What are the dark materials?
I don't know.
What's dark about them? Who is he?
There has,
Yeah. Yeah. So
Right.
obviously, yes, fantasy. There's something in the Arctic, some sort of magic, and this is a magic compass. And it might do spells as well. I don't know.
You know what? I think both of those are pretty solid guesses. I do know who won, but I'll reveal that in the next episode. But they're both pretty, I think, unlike our guesses last time where we were way off the mark. I think you guys are a lot more on the mark.
Fair. Cool.
Yeah, so everybody, Jason had to leave early, so we're going to be doing the rest of the episode without him. But he knows what book to do next, so that's the important part out of the way. Yeah, so I'll keep Jason's original order, Jonathan, and I'll go to you first. What else are you consuming?
So at the minute, I'm reading another one of the Witcher books. At the minute, I think it's still the first one, the Blood of Elves one. The first actual proper one, not one of the short story. I've read the 2 short story ones. So that's kind of the other book that I'm reading at the minute. Playing in terms of gaming, I've been playing a few different games. I've been playing one called Manor Lords. It's like this city builder, but it's like a medieval city builder, and it's like it's still in like early access and stuff, so they're still developing it, but it's very good. It's kind of very realistic medieval setting. I just started a new project with my client, or a new client project with my work, so I've been a bit busier now. In terms of watching, I've been watching the Formula 1 series Drive to Survive. I didn't watch last season's, and the new one's just been announced. They're coming out soon, so I was just catching up on last season's. I've also been watching the first season of Welcome to Wrexham. I think, Stephen, you mentioned that a while ago on this podcast.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, so watching all of that, it's just about a fun like way, kind of Ryan and Rob. But yeah, it's quite interesting, and they're obviously doing quite well now at the minute, so kind of good to follow along with that story. Not much else. I watched one of the, I think a while ago, me and Michael, we were doing it as well, like watching the movies that were nominated for an Oscar or for the Best Picture. So I watched one called Nightmare Alley from, I think, a couple of years ago. Have you seen that one, Michael?
Oh, Bradley Cooper. Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. It is a strange movie, like those Oscar nominees usually are. But yeah, it has Bradley Cooper, and I really liked how it ended and stuff. I thought it was a very good movie. So yeah, it's definitely one of the better ones, because I think most of these Oscar ones that I've watched so far, most of them have just been either quite shit or okay, just because they are quite strange. But yeah, this one I thought was very good. So yeah, I watched that, and I think I'm going to watch another couple. I think that was 2021, I think, that year. So I've got another few ones that I need to watch from that year. So I'm going to crack on with them. But yeah, that's me.
Cool. Stephen, what else are you consuming or have been consuming?
Yeah, so let me think. So watching, but Severance has started up again. I'm not sure if I talked about that on the last episode, but this is your regular Apple TV plug. It's back. It's Severance is just brilliant. It's phenomenal. The premise of the show is just great, and it's just so mysterious, and it's just great writing and whatever, and love it. There's like 4 or 5 episodes out at the minute, I think. So yeah. Then I started going through Star Wars from the start again. I just had a notion to start it from the start. So I watched the Phantom Menace, watched the Clone Wars, the 2003 one, and then the 2007 series. I'm just about to wrap that up. Or sorry, I should say I watched Attack of the Clones and then these two. Just about to finish the second Clone Wars series. Then I'm going to do the rest. So I want to do the whole like series of films and TV that are out. I don't think I'm going to finish it because there's so much now. But we'll see. Watched a good film there, me and Sarah. We watched The Founder. Have either of you seen that or heard about it?
I think I've heard
It's
of
about
it.
the guy. I'm not to spoil it, but he's not quite the founder of McDonald's, but the guy who made McDonald's huge. It's brilliant. It's
I
got
think I've heard a
what do you
podcast
call
talking about it, yeah.
What's that, Michael?
I said I think I heard a podcast talking about it. I think that's why it sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Like the cast and its class, and it's like a true story. It's Michael Keaton plays the guy, and it's a brilliant film. I would definitely recommend it. Loved it. Haven't stopped thinking about it since we watched it a couple of weeks ago, which is mad. I can't remember when we recorded the last episode if The Traitors had finished yet, but the finale of that was phenomenal. Well, the last episode was a bit underwhelming, but the penultimate one was class. I really enjoyed that. Didn't watch that last year, the year before, so it was a good one this time. As for play and stuff, I think I said the last time I'm going to be building a new PC soon, and the first game that I've got clocked to play is the new Kingdom Come Deliverance that just came out. KCD 2. The first one was like, I think it was about 7 years ago now. I want to say 2018, but I loved that. It's so good. Like it's like a medieval sword and shield sort of game. So you play this like peasant guy who's like son of a blacksmith, and he ends up going on this epic quest to like revenge himself, basically. And it's all based. I think it's in It's based in Poland, but it's all in English. I can't remember who's the invading army, but it's a brain game. I would definitely recommend it. It's sort of like an RPG, but it's got a bit of like real life history in it. So the second one that's coming out, so I'll be playing that straight away. I can't wait. Playing Pokemon Leaf Green. I'm about to finish it. I've done all the campaign, done all the post game. I'll just have to beat the league one more time, and then I'm going to put that down and start Hard Gold, and then I might do Emerald after that. Other than that, still playing World of Warcraft, still on the crack. Just got all healers to Keystone Hero, for anybody who knows what that is. So it was a big achievement for me. What else? And then and for work, I've been doing a lot of React. So what I'm looking for is if any listener has a suggestion on a certificate that I can do for that would be appreciated. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool.
Michael,
As
do you
for
have
me,
anything?
As for me, I talked on the last episode how I was watching the Avatar animated series. Finished that. Really, really good ending. I really enjoyed the whole series overall. Started another series, an anime called Attack on Titan. Have any of you guys ever watched that?
You're going to be so mad at the ending though. I'll tell you now, you're going to be so pissed off.
Really?
Yeah, but it's a great show, but I know for a fact you're going to hate the ending.
Right, we'll see anyway, but the show has overtaken my life. Like I've blazed through the first 2 seasons, and I could not believe, like, watching the middle of the second season, there was like this big plot reveal, and the way it was done just shocked me to my core, because the way they did it is like, you know how when you have a tracking cam on another character and then there's somebody speaking in the background and their words are tailing off? It was like this confession that was tailing off, and I was like, wait, what did they just say? And I was like, what a crazy way to put out a big massive plot point, you know. It was but yeah, I've just been completely addicted to the show. I have a mixed relationship with Anna.
See, like Attack on Titan, I watched it as it came out, and I thought it was brilliant, like, at the time. And
yeah. I
can't remember, you're going to have to remind me, but not to give too much away, but it's season 2, is that the Beast Titan at the start appears?
Yeah, that is, yeah. have a mixed relationship with anime because I loved Dragon Ball Z as a child, and then didn't really watch much, but I was tortured because I've been part of a lot of online communities and people online love anime and constantly just being like, you have to watch this anime, you have to watch this anime. The only person I ever listened to who told me to watch an anime is on this podcast was you, Stephen. You told me to watch Death Note, and I said, I'll give Death Note a go. And I really love that show. I think the more the towards the end of it, I think it peters off a bit when there's a big plot change. But before that, I think the show is still worth it to watch just for how good it is. But yeah, I'm really enjoying Attack on Titan. Just addicted to it at the minute. Hopefully I don't hate the ending, but
I'm so sorry
we'll
for
see.
you. No, it's still good. It's still good, but it's going to annoy you.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll report back anyway. I might have, the way I'm going through it, I might have it fucking done by the next time we record. Other than that, not been consuming much media because I've been in like a productivity mode, doing a lot of writing, doing a lot of recording for my other stuff. Sort of had a lot more momentum with the recording stuff now because I have found a space that is not my home where I can record. So that is helping immensely because it was hard to record at home because my son was very noisy at different times. So it's been very useful.
I feel you there.
So
there's a room for two because I've had to step away about 10 times.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for me as far as consuming it. It's just been fucking that Attack on Titan show has just overtaken everything for a while.
If you want another anime, it's like it took me over. It's not like a fantasy. Well, it is, but it's not like it's more like a scientific fantasy type one. It's called Steins Gate. It's about time travel, and it's brilliant.
Right. I'm a bit scared to like start another one now because
there's only 24
it's so hard
episodes.
not to watch it.
There's only 24 episodes,
that's
so it's quite quick.
That's okay.
Yeah.
There's that one Full Metal Alchemist or something.
Full Metal Alchemist. I've heard about that one before.
They always go on
That's
about
good
that.
as well, yeah. But you have to make sure you watch the right one because there's two, and one of them was coming out as the manga was still being written, and so it diverges, kind of like hopefully like Game of Thrones, right? So it diverges, and people didn't like it for that. So
sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? But Steins Gate, give that a watch. I think it might be on Netflix. If that's any good,
yeah, that would be, yeah. Right, that's what are we consuming. Plugs next, is it?
Yeah.
I'll go first there. I'll go real quick. Check out our other podcast, What's the Crack with Albums. I think the day that this episode drops, our Daft Punk Discovery episode drops, which is episode 8. You're on that episode as well, Stephen.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have 8 episodes out by then. If you guys want to check that podcast out, the link will be in the description. The episodes are a lot shorter than our Audiobook Club episodes. We will have our email address too for the Audiobook Club, the Audiobook Club podcast @gmail.com in the description. If you want to email us a recommendation, say hello, say whatever you want to make a correction on something we said in an earlier episode, anything like that, you can reach us on that email address.
Or if you want to give me suggestions for professional certificates for React and or for any front end, that would be good. Yeah,
you can do that there as well. If you want to follow me or the Audiobook Club on any of our social medias, those will also be in the description. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say, guys. Anything you guys want to add on that?
I'll just drop the usual. I've released a new blog in the Q in the Q programming language sphere. Been working on some blogging again, so hoping they release one a month now in this new year. So that's my target. So that's January's one, so I'll be releasing February's one at the end of the month. But yeah, that's it.
Nice. Happy days. Everybody happy with that then? Yeah. Should we just quickly mention the Spotify thing, just for anybody who listens on Spotify?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention this to anybody who listens to us on Spotify. We currently have our first full episode, our Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone episode, has been taken down just on Spotify because of an alleged copyright infringement. Our host, Acast, they were made aware of this too via Spotify to look into this. Acast have gotten back to us and said that they found that there's no copyright infringement. Looked into this company that made this allegation, Linkbusters. it's a quick Google search. You can see that this sort of stuff's happened with them before, where they have whatever algorithm they use to flag things like this. It picks up review websites and review podcasts and whatever. And then obviously the process should be that a person listens to it and then checks if it's legit. But obviously that did not happen. And they just thought that we used the original audiobook or read from the book or something like that and just flagged it without actually listening to the episode. Thankfully, our hosts, Acast, did listen to the episode. They did get back to us very quickly and said it's okay, there's no copyright infringement. So I'm very thankful to Acast for getting back to us so swiftly and just reassuring us that we haven't done anything wrong. We are still awaiting Spotify. We've appealed the episode, just saying that there is no infringement on the episode. Can you guys have another look at this? So at the moment of recording, we're waiting for Spotify to get back to us. It could be resolved by the time you actually hear the episode, but if it's not, I will keep this on just so you're aware of what has happened there. But it's only affecting that episode. My only worry is that they've taken down one Harry Potter episode. What's to stop this from happening with the other ones or any of the future ones? It's a precedent to set, kind of, that worries me, but I'm just glad that Acast were so swift to resolve it, and we have assurance that we're fine on other platforms at least. But yeah, that seems it's affecting us on Spotify at the minute.
So get your act together, Spotify.
Yeah, get your act together. Do you guys have anything to add on that?
It's just annoying, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
AI, stop using it, guys. It's bad. It's lazy.
It's still going to need human intervention. I think, AI will always need, like, I feel like it's such, like, for my job and like Stephen's job, it is such a handy thing, but I don't think it would ever replace, definitely not in our lifetimes, because
I don't think it can in our lifetime. I think it can do a lot of stuff already, but I can't see it, like you say, being able to intervene.
Yeah,
where you need more human touch.
Yeah, like it can like bang out like this boilerplate code in like half a second, and it's great, and it just like makes me so productive. But then when I'm having conversations with it, it just starts losing its way, and I'll like ask it a question and it'll give me some answer, and I'm like, no, this doesn't work. And then I'm like, oh, sorry for the oversight, here's the corrected version, and it just gives me the same thing. And I'm like although this technology is very impressive and all, there's still like these absolute like stupid errors that happen on it. And I just think it's such a hard problem, and I don't know if we're capable of solving it quickly. And like, say if you ask it to generate images, the first image is always class, and then see when you be like, I really like this image, but could you tweak this a little bit? It will just generate you a whole new image. It won't actually like just tweak the bit. It's so stupid. Like, but it is impressive technology, but yeah, there are limitations to it, and I think people using it for things like this, where it is going to affect other people's work, I think they need to make sure there's still human intervention going on as well.
I'll tell you about the interview that I had with that guy for a role on our team. He was very clearly ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Got him bagged the rights on that one. Well, I still can't say for sure, but like.
Yeah. That's why you need to just come up with interview questions that are like anti-ChatGPT.
Well, it wasn't even an interview question. It was like a coding scenario, and it was very clear that he was like not copy and pasting, but he was typing while looking at, like, copying from something because of the order that he did it.
Yeah, fair.
Podcasts too can be like part of somebody's livelihood, and we're not monetized, but like, imagine we were, and we were like relying on that income for like paying for things, I know, and then they can just do that and take it down. It's kind of bullshit, like. But yeah, spoken enough on it. Did you guys download DeepSeek to do Chinese AI?
I haven't yet. It's got a low rating on the App Store, but I kind of...
Does it?
Like, ChatGPT, I find, is the best one still, but you only get so much like free usage of like the highest version of it, and then you get downgraded. So whenever that happens, I just move on and use a different one. So I just kind of like rotate around them as I need.
I haven't used Claude, but I've used Gemini and ChatGPT and DeepSeek, and I do think DeepSeek is the best one, but maybe it's just specific to what you're looking for on it. Like,
oh, I haven't actually used it yet, so I'll give it a try. But like I just signed like with a new client there, and like one of their you do like all their policies at the start, and it's like and I'm sure a lot of banks will have this, but it's kind of like you can't use like AI models outside of the thing. So it's like it's probably the way the internet was when it started. It's kind of like a lot of banks and like people that need to have really secure things aren't like allowing their, you know, secrets to be like discussed with AIs and stuff. And I feel like it is going to be like, you know, 10, 20 years just the way the internet was before people actually really started adopting it. So it's just going to be like that.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a whole thing there recently about OpenAI losing a pile of funding or something?
Oh, did they? They're owned by
Didn't
like
see anything.
Google and all that, aren't they? Not Google, sorry.
Microsoft. They've got a deal with Microsoft.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything from like AI that has actually scared me. It's just how like commentators and people within these companies are speaking that scares me.
I think
from
it's
the
a
technology
fad.
itself.
Like I think it's more of a fad at the minute. I do think it will be used forever now, but I don't think it's going to take off. Do you know how like Bitcoin and like all the coins got really popular for a while there, and they still kind of are, but not as much. I think it's about like that.
And it's like people think it's the silver bullet, and they're like, this is going to solve all these things as well. I think people are overestimating what this is going to be able to do. Like they're like, this could solve, like, you know, an AI could figure out the cure to cancer, and like, no, it probably can't if we don't know. It can do these some brute force things and definitely help with these things, but it's not going to just be a silver bullet and be able to do it itself. It is very impressive technology, but I don't think it's any silver bullet of any kind. It's not going to replace anyone anytime soon.
The quantum computing thing, I think we talked about the last time, is far more interesting.
Oh yeah, it's madness.
Yeah.
I've been reading that book as well, that How to Teach Your Dog Quantum Physics is just crazy. Like, it's absolute bonkers.
Did you just ever hear of why AI is so water intensive, like why it uses so much water? It's like literally in the data centers, the units heat up so much they just have to chuck water on it to cool them down.
Yeah, there's
That's
Just mental. Like,
sustainability issue is the big issue of AI at the minute too. Just
is this a real thing? I think I might have saw this in a show actually, where like they had something like that where it was a big huge data center, and to, like you're saying, to cool the thing, they actually like built it underwater, and like in the Arctic or something.
Right.
Could they build it in Ireland and just help us heat up our fucking atmosphere, because it's Baltic here.
I think that might have been from a show now. That
Stephen, that's freaking like Westworld or something you're thinking of.
But I can't think what it would have been, because it was recently I watched it too. Well, it's recently that I thought
Attack
about
on
it.
Titan.
Not watched it, but yeah.
They do build data centers in the Arctic and stuff, so why wouldn't they build it under the water too? Like, who knows? Anyway, I'll catch you on the flip.
Oh yeah, that the catchphrase that I do sometimes.
Yeah, so
Catchies on it.
See there.
We're
You should make that an outro
listen
jingle,
to-
just you saying that, and then cut us out.
Listen to His Dark Materials next by, what was there? Riff something?
Northern
Riff
Lights.
something.
Riff reads it. Riff narrates it. It's Northern Lights by Philip somebody.
God, Mike, that's your book, like.
I know, Michael, you choose this book.
Philip Pullman.
Read by Ruth
It's
Wilson.
Riff somebody.
It's
Riff
not
Wilson.
Northern Lights by Philip Pullman,
Ruth
narrated by
Wilson.
Ruth Wilson.
It's by Philip Pullman, but which one of us was drinking before this? Okay. Philip Pullman, Northern Lights, read by Ruth Wilson,
I'm gonna need a
Volume
drink
1,
afterwards,
His Dark
I think.
Materials.
Later, catches on the flippity flop.
Catches on the flappity flip.
Goodbye. Bye 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 bye. Bye 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 bye.
And another thing about AI.